BookTube. It's Peg. I'm at the History Shelf. I'm here on a Wednesday. Should have been on a Tuesday to do Tag Tuesday, but I'm finally getting around to doing the finance book tag that David Murphy was so gracious enough to tag me on. I have answers for most of these questions. Not all, but I'll answer those when I get to them with why. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Number one, diversification is the averaging out of independent risks in a large portfolio. Hold up a few books we wouldn't expect to find on your shelves. So this was I think probably my favorite question out of the whole group. These two books are in the foyer, so when people walk in, that's one of the first things they see, and it was brought to my attention that when I decide to sell this place and people are showing it, I should probably not have these books up because apparently they could be misinterpreted. Like, I know what they're about, but other people would think it would raise an eyebrow. So you guys might not expect me to have these books up on my shelf, but these, the two mammoth works by Walter Martin, baby. Kingdom of the Cults, the definitive work on the subject, and the Kingdom of the Occult. Yes, Walter Martin. What a great theologian. Ravi Zacharias does the introduction on this one. And I love Ravi Zacharias' work. Love to watch him on YouTube videos. I like to watch him debate. Profound thinker. But yeah, so anyway, when people come in, they see this on the shelf. They probably think, oh my God, she's a cult member. Wait, hang on, everybody.
The books won't be the thing that does that. It will be the giant floor-to-ceiling, glow-in-the-dark pentagram. That might give people pause. I'm just saying.
You know, she's absolutely right. I didn't even think of that.
That's just a subtle touch.
The glowing pentagram. Why didn't I think of that? That really needs to come down.
You get used to seeing something.
Sometimes you see it so much
Right.
So apparently these spines will not scare off any potential buyers.
But the goats might.
The goats, the pentagrams. Yeah. You know. Yeah. The Eye of Newt. Anyway, those are great reference works. I would imagine that Jason at Byways and Bookland, since he does have such a large library on the occult or books with an occult theme, that Jason, I'm wondering, do you have the Walter Martin works? Just curious if you do. All right.
How do you paint over glow-in-the-dark things?
I'll come to you for some advice on how to hide the pentagram. Just kidding, everybody. This is not the kind of household we have here. Number two, past results are not indicative of future outcomes. Tell us about a book or author you disliked or were indifferent about on first reading, but gave a second chance and ended up liking. You know, I'm going to be honest. If I don't like
it, Brad Thor right now, I swear to God.
I'm not going to say Brad Thor. I'll say Brad Thor when I'm showing the new book that I ordered.
I swear to God.
Which will be here in a couple weeks. The truth is, if there's something I don't like, it's very rare that I'm going to give it a second chance. So I can't really point to any book that I decided, oh, hey, you know what, I wasn't fair. Look at all the options I have around me. You haven't even seen all the other books I have in this place. If something does not work for me, then boom, it's over. It's done with.
I've heard this several times, so she speaks the truth.
See? Yeah. Martine will vouch. Okay, so number three, the effect of earning interest on interest is known as compound interest. Name a book that has aged remarkably well, or a book that gets better each time you read it. Okay. Couple problems here. Number one, my memory. I can't remember Maybe when I was younger, I would reread books. I don't do that now. I just, again, it goes back to the last question. I have too much to read. So I admire all of you out there that are rereading works of grand literature. God love you. I wish I, I wish I could do that, but it would require me giving away my library. You know what I mean? And just having a set of like 10 books, and then I would want to reread them. But as far as books that age well, I'm mostly a history reader. But I would say any book by David McCullough would age well. Um, Specifically John Adams. I love that. I do want to reread that book actually. Um, fantastic, fantastic bio. I have so much history that it's hard for me to say which books age the best. Um, I think maybe with the World War II, maybe with Pearl Harbor, the best one. I think this one has aged really well because it was written, I think, in the 60s, maybe the 50s or 60s, but At Dawn We Slept. That one was fantastic. But anyway, I think that's the best I can answer that question. All right. Okay, so this was an interesting question. I had to ask Martine to help me understand this.
And
Thanks,
that means
David.
nothing, basically.
Yeah. A firm's current ratio is the ratio of current assets to current liabilities. And you know what? I just signed up to do a read along with David Murphy for basic economics. So maybe this will help me, or maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew. Um, so a ratio of 1 means current assets equal current liabilities. Okay? So I was following that. If current assets are the books in your library you have read, and current liabilities are the books you have not read, is your current ratio above, below, or equal to 1? As you can see, I'm trying to think it through.
So that's when we decided we'd just order pizza and ignore the
yeah, we
question.
just said, you know what, to hell with it, let's get a pizza and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Pretty sure the answer is below 1 because I have far more books I have not read than read because I am a glutton for buying new books. Love it. Um, and love just wanting to learn about new topics. And most of the time, the things that I want to read are not at my local library. The times that I do go online to look to say, you know what, the library will have it, the library will have it. This is not true. This is not true. I mean, you know, we live in a city of a couple 100,000 people, maybe more. We're a pretty large suburb of Denver, but so my city's library it's fairly big and it's connected to the community college as well. So there's 2 floors, and one section has history on the upper floor for the college, and the downstairs one has a history section for the city. But the things that I look for, they're never really in stock. So that's my excuse. And it's a good one for why I have so many books, because I have to get them on my own. So my ratio is below 1, everybody, if that means anything to you. Number 5, familiarity bias is a tendency of investors to favor investments in companies they are familiar with. What is a book you go back to out of familiarity? I slightly amended this question to say, what author do you go back to out of familiarity? It's hard for me to just to say one book. So this one is when it comes to my Russian studies, I definitely go back to Simon Sebag Montefiore and Robert K. Massey, and most recently, what is I know her. Hello, I know her name. Yeah, Helen Rappaport. And she's been writing on the Romanovs and doing outstanding work. So those are some of the just a few that I come back to. But typically with history, I have a nice selection of historians I trust and I'm familiar with. H.W. Brands, um, and now all the names will flee from me. Robert Service was great for Russian studies. Robert Conquest. Tons of stuff. But that's just an example. Um, Question number 6. Investors are always seeking alpha, seeking a non-zero difference between a stock's expected return and its required return. What is an underrated book or a book that should be more well known but isn't? Are you okay?
Yeah.
She stepped outside, God bless her,
Sorry.
to do some coughing.
You weren't supposed to hear it.
It's okay. It's okay, thank you. So, what is an underrated book that should be more well known but isn't? I've shown this book before, but I'm going to say The Black Book of Communism, my fellow comrades. It's an extremely important work, and anyone who doesn't know about the horrors of communism should definitely pick it up and read it. Okay, number 7, a derivative is a security, the payoff of which depends solely on the prices of other marked assets. Tell us about a book you thought was derivative. See, I didn't have an answer for this. And I waited a while to do this tag just because I didn't have an answer for this derivative thing. So, I'm not gonna really try to force an answer on this one. When it comes to history reading, new works on history are derivative in a sense of the books that came before, and it's just a matter of trying to find a new argument, a new angle, maybe if you found new documents, those type of things. But there's really, history is kind of derivative of what has come before it. So I would say most of the things I read derive from other studies. So I think maybe this applies for fiction more than, although David had a great answer when he said he said Thomas Sowell. I think he said that Intellectuals in Society was derivative. Maybe that was the one, which I really liked, by the way. And there is a brand new revised and expanded edition that I want to read as well. So who knows? Maybe I'll see if that's maybe I'll find out what he means by that. But I can't really say that I can say anything particular. One book on that. Okay, well, moving on. I know I'm boring you guys. Number 8. A share repurchase is when a company uses cash to buy back its own stock. Tell us about a book you own too many copies of. So that's easy for me. That is the Bible, and I have it in several different versions, translations, sizes. I started off with an NIV, and then I started with a King James, and I have a King James, and then I have an NIV, at least a couple of versions of those, maybe more. And then I have at least 2 ESVs. Just sizing wise, I wanted one to be a little smaller than the regular book size one. It's a little bit smaller. But now that my eyesight has been going to pot lately, I need to go back to my bigger Bible. Then I bought a hardcover archaeology ESV Bible, which totally appeals to me. Great articles on just the archaeology, the also like ancient. They get big articles on the history of the area, the archaeology, artifacts and things like that. And yeah, it's all tied together in a study Bible, and I just thought that was neat. So that's my most recent Bible, but I have many, many Bibles. So moving on to the last question. The Federal Reserve is the lender of last resort. What is a book your mom or dad bought for you? Again, just not having a great recall on things that just came so long ago. And, just kind of have, I'm about I'm not going to say how many years removed from being a child, but I can say that, my mom, when I was a kid and over the years growing up while I lived with her, she was so supportive and she bought me so many books, things that I would ask for, history books, Civil War series. She's, signed me up for the Time Life Civil War series, the Old West. And she paid those bills. I just got them in the mail and I was thrilled. So thanks, Mom. I mean, that really added a lot to who I am today as a reader, and my interests. And my dad, he would tell me about some books. I think he read this one too. I just remember this one stands out. He told me I should check out the Creature from Jekyll Island. And I think I did buy the copy and I started reading it. But I think it was over my head at the time, so I probably should need to revisit that one. But yeah, I wonder, I'm sure David Murphy knows all about the Creature from Jekyll Island, um, which is all about the Federal Reserve. Okay, and tag people, but I get it if you don't. Um, I have one guy in mind. I don't know if he's going to want to do it. He'll probably say I'm too busy reading. But John David, if you want to give this a whirl, bring out the inner libertarian in you, that'd be fabulous. Because I know there's one hiding away in there. Um, Anyone else would like to do this? Please, by all means, consider yourself tagged. All right, well, that is the finance book tag. I hope I did an okay job. Um, I will be checking in again with you guys soon. So have a wonderful night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you on the flip side. Bye.